A 40-year-old entrepreneur walks into the Blockbuster headquarters in Dallas, Texas. His company, Netflix, is struggling. He's losing money every month. DVD by mail isn't catching on. He needs help. So he's come to pitch a partnership to Blockbuster, the undisputed king of video rental, with over 9,000 stores worldwide and $6 billion in annual revenue. Reed Hastings sits down across from Blockbuster CEO John Antioco and makes an offer. Netflix will handle Blockbuster's online rentals. Blockbuster will promote Netflix in their stores, and Netflix is willing to sell the entire company to Blockbuster for $50 million. John Antioco listens. Then he laughs. Blockbuster's executives laugh. They think Netflix is a joke, a niche product for tech nerds. Nobody wants to wait for DVDs in the mail when they can just drive to Blockbuster. The meeting ends. Blockbuster says no. Reed Hastings leaves humiliated. But he doesn't quit. He goes back to Netflix and makes a decision that will change entertainment forever. He's going to destroy Blockbuster. Fast forward to 2010. Blockbuster files for bankruptcy. They close almost all their stores. Today, only one Blockbuster remains in the entire world, in Bend, Oregon, kept alive as a nostalgic relic. Netflix, the company Blockbuster laughed at, is now worth over $200 billion. It has over 230 million subscribers worldwide. It produces award-winning films and series. It changed how the entire world watches TV, and it all started because Blockbuster said no. This is the story of how Rejection turned Netflix into an empire and Blockbuster into a punchline. Let's rewind to 1997. Reed Hastings was a successful software engineer in California. One day he rented the movie Apollo 13 from Blockbuster. He forgot to return it on time. The late fee was $40. Reed was embarrassed. He didn't want to tell his wife he'd wasted $40 on a late fee. And that embarrassment gave him an idea. What if there was a rental service with no late fees? What if you could rent movies by mail, keep them as long as you wanted, and return them whenever you were ready? He called it Netflix. In 1998, Netflix launched as a DVD by mail service. You'd order DVDs online, they'd arrive in your mailbox, you'd watch them, mail them back, and get new ones. No late fees, no driving to a store. It was simple. But it wasn't working. Netflix was losing money. They had only a few thousand subscribers. Most people still preferred going to Blockbuster. Blockbuster was everywhere. It was convenient. It was familiar. Why would anyone wait for DVDs in the mail? Reed Hastings needed help. He needed distribution. He needed Blockbuster's massive customer base. So in 2000, Reed flew to Dallas to meet with Blockbuster CEO John Antioco. Reed proposed a partnership. Blockbuster would promote Netflix in their stores. Netflix would handle Blockbuster's online presence. And if Blockbuster wanted, they could buy Netflix outright for $50 million. John Antioco and his team listened. Then they laughed. They thought Netflix was irrelevant, a small niche company that would never scale. Why would Blockbuster pay $50 million for a company that was losing money? Blockbuster was making billions. They had 9,000 stores. They were untouchable. The meeting ended. Blockbuster rejected the offer. Reed Hastings left the building humiliated and angry. But he didn't give up. He went back to Netflix and made a vow. He would prove Blockbuster wrong. Reed knew that Netflix couldn't compete with Blockbuster's convenience. Driving to a store would always be faster than waiting for mail. So Reed focused on something Blockbuster couldn't offer. No late fees and unlimited selection. Blockbuster stores had limited shelf space. They could only stock popular movies. Netflix, operating by mail, could offer thousands of obscure titles that Blockbuster would never carry. But the real breakthrough came in 2007. Reed saw the future. Streaming. The internet was getting faster. Bandwidth was improving. People were starting to watch video online. Reed made a massive bet. He pivoted Netflix from DVD by mail to streaming. It was risky. Most people still didn't have fast internet. Streaming quality was poor. But Reed believed it was the future, and he was right. In 2007, Netflix launched its streaming service. Suddenly, you didn't have to wait for DVDs. You could watch movies and TV shows instantly on your computer. It was revolutionary. Blockbuster, meanwhile, was stuck in the past. They'd built their entire business around physical stores and late fees. Late fees were a huge part of Blockbuster's revenue. They made over $800 million a year from late fees alone, but customers hated late fees. Netflix offered a better experience. No fees, no driving, instant access. Blockbuster tried to fight back. In 2004, they launched Blockbuster Online, a DVD by mail service to compete with Netflix. But it was too late. They were copying Netflix instead of innovating, and they were still charging late fees in their stores, which drove customers away. By 2010, Blockbuster was drowning in debt. They filed for bankruptcy. Most stores closed. The brand that once dominated the world was gone. Netflix, the company Blockbuster had laughed at, was now worth billions. But Netflix didn't stop there. Reed Hastings made another bold move. He decided Netflix shouldn't just distribute content. It should create content. In 2013, Netflix released House of Cards, its first original series. It was a gamble. No streaming company had ever produced original shows before. But it worked. House of Cards was a massive hit. It proved that Netflix could compete with traditional TV networks. Netflix followed with Orange is the New Black, Stranger Things, The Crown, Squid Game, and hundreds more original series and films. Today, Netflix spends over $17 billion a year on content. It has won Oscars and Emmys. It's not just a streaming service. It's a Hollywood studio. And Blockbuster? In 2010, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy and was bought by Dish Network for $320 million, a fraction of what it was once worth. Almost all Blockbuster stores closed. Today, only one remains in Bend, Oregon. It's a tourist attraction. People visit it to take selfies and remember a time when renting movies meant driving to a store. Blockbuster is a punchline, a cautionary tale, a symbol of what happens when you refuse to innovate. Netflix is worth over $200 billion. It has over 230 million subscribers in 190 countries. It changed how the entire world watches TV and movies. So what happened? Blockbuster was blinded by their own success. They were making billions from late fees and physical stores. They couldn't imagine a world where people didn't need to drive to Blockbuster. They dismissed Netflix because it didn't fit their business model. And that arrogance destroyed them. Reed Hastings saw the future. He knew DVDs were temporary. He knew streaming was coming. And he was willing to bet everything on it, even when it was risky, even when most people thought he was crazy. Blockbuster tried to compete by copying Netflix. But they were always one step behind. They didn't innovate. They reacted. And by the time they realized their mistake, it was too late. Netflix didn't just survive rejection. It used rejection as fuel. Blockbuster's laughter motivated Reed Hastings to work harder, innovate faster, and prove them wrong. Reed Hastings walked into Blockbuster in 2000 and offered to sell Netflix for $50 million. Blockbuster laughed and said no. 10 years later, Blockbuster was bankrupt. Today, Netflix is worth over $200 billion. Because sometimes the biggest mistake isn't failing. It's refusing to see the future when it's standing right in front of you.